Katie Moore, proxy for Walter Bouchard.
Thank you.
A quorum is now present. Good afternoon, members of the MAG Air Quality Technical Advisory Committee. This meeting is now called to order. For those around the table, please turn on your microphone when speaking. For those participating via Zoom, please state your name when making a comment or asking a question. The MAG public comment process allows members of the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction. If you'd like to comment at today's meeting, please complete the request to speak form. MAG staff can assist with any questions you may have. If you have parked in the garage, a validation stamp is available on the counter. If you have purchased a transit ticket to come to the meeting, please see staff for a ticket. Hearing assisted devices are available from MAG staff. Our next item is a call to the audience. This is the opportunity for the public to comment on items that fall under MAG's jurisdiction that are not on the agenda, informational items or items on the agenda for discussion and not for action. 15 minutes will be provided for the call up to the audience unless the chair requests an exception to this limit. I have received no requests to speak for the call to the audience. MAG also provides the opportunity for members of the public to submit written comments via the MAG website. Any comments received 2 hours prior to the meeting have been shared with committee members in advance of the meeting for consideration and will be included in the formal meeting minutes. MAG staff, have we received any online written comments for the call to the audience?
Mr. Chair, no written comments were received.
Our next item is approval of the December 4th, 2025 meeting minutes. Does any member of the committee have questions? Hearing none, prior to the approval of the meeting minutes, there is an opportunity for members of the public to comment. I have received no requests to speak for this agenda item. MAG staff, have we received any online written comments for this item?
Mr. Chair, no written comments were received.
Is there a motion to approve agenda item 3?
Chair, this is Megan Sheldon, City of Glendale. I move to approve the meeting minutes of December 4th, 2025.
Robert Vandenacker, City of Buckeye, seconded.
We have a motion from Megan Sheldon and a second from Robert Vandenacker. A roll call will be taken at this time by Lisa Young.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Members of the committee, when I call your name, please state your vote. Teddy Lord.
Present.
Teddy, how do you vote? Yes or no?
Abstain.
Thank you. Shane Kiso.
Yay.
Thank you. Chelsea Benton.
Aye.
Thank you. Junwan Ju.
Aye.
Thank you. Eric Massey.
Aye.
Thank you. Tom Ekron.
Aye.
Thank you. Kim Anderson.
I am here, but I abstain.
Thank you. Robert Vandenacker.
Aye.
Thank you. Kenya Lugo Waite.
Aye.
Thank you. Mark Ortiz. Megan Sheldon.
Aye.
Thank you. Monica Rabb.
Aye.
Thank you. Rick Williams. Kim Butler.
Aye.
Thank you. Nicole Clements.
Abstain.
Thank you. Michael Baez.
Aye.
Thank you. Jennifer Peterson.
Aye.
Thank you. Katrina Gerster.
Aye.
Thank you. Anu Jain.
Aye.
Thank you. Ramona Simpson.
Aye, and I'm here as well.
Thank you, Ramona. How do you vote?
Aye.
Thank you. Ben Davis. Ryan Templeton.
Aye.
Thank you. Justin Suryanata.
Aye.
Thank you. Brody Lynn.
Aye.
Thank you. Mr. Chair.
Aye.
Thank you. Christina Hoppes.
Aye.
Thank you. Aaron Daughtery. Arden Holloway.
Yes.
Thank you. Susie Stevens.
Aye.
Thank you. Gregory Arrington.
Aye.
Thank you. Did I miss anyone? Mr. Chair, the motion passes with 3 abstentions.
Thank you. Initial results of the consumer fireworks education and awareness campaigns. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Ari Halbert, Maricopa County Air Quality Department, and Juan Juarez, Maricopa Association of Governments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, I just wanted to provide a brief overview of the fireworks messaging media response which was part of our Burn Cleaner, Burn Better campaign, and just wanted to share how we did. Next, please. Well, as many of you know, the Maricopa County Air Quality Department launches the Burn Cleaner, Burn Better campaign every winter season to help encourage residents to opt out of wood burning. And this year, we included a more robust messaging for consumer fireworks, also to encourage residents to opt out of using them and choose to leave it to the professionals. Overall, we noticed an increase in media requests, higher social media engagement, as in likes, shares, and comments. We saw strong support and collaboration from government and non-government partners. Pet safety-related posts generated the highest engagement, and I'll get into that in a little bit. And the social media platform Nextdoor produced the highest number of impressions and comments. Next, please. In terms of media interviews, it was a pretty busy season, more so than we've noticed in the past years when we focused more on Burn Cleaner, Burn Better. I believe the fireworks messaging really struck a chord with the public and with journalists. As you can see here, we had an interview for 12 News, Arizona Midday Show, ABC 15 Sonoran Living Show. We had a couple of morning news requests from ABC 15 and their digital news, Arizona's Family Morning News, and Arizona's Family Sonoran Desert Podcast with Sean McLaughlin to talk about specifically fireworks and how they affect our community, not just with air quality, but pet safety and veterans, etc. Arizona Central, Arizona Republic, Fox 10 Evening News, and KJZZ radio interview. Next, please. Our social media communication was posted on Instagram, Facebook, Nextdoor, and X, or Twitter, in English and in Spanish. And the content included consumer fireworks versus professional fireworks, fireworks and PM 2.5 information, fireworks and pets, fireworks and wildlife, wildfire risk. Both of these, we collaborated with the Maricopa County Animal Care and Control Department and with Parks and Recreation. We also included a community testimonial video that included animal or pet owners, someone from Animal Care and Control, park rangers, a park goer, and a professor from ASU that talking about the effects of consumer fireworks on air quality and why they opt out of them. This testimonial video, we plan to expand to include veterans and someone from the medical field to update it and post it for July 4th. So we're working on updating that and making it a little bit longer with more information. And we also had posts related to the health effects of PM 2.5 or smoke. Next, please. As I mentioned, we received quite a bit of collaboration and engagement. Every year, we do see our partners and cities and towns help us promote our Burn Cleaner, Burn Better message. And here's a list of a few different departments and cities and towns. If I missed anyone, my apologies. I'm sure this list is a lot more extensive, but I did want to say thank you to everyone that helped us promote the message. In terms of media impressions, we had about 600,000 in total, and this is specific to fireworks related media interviews and social media posts. Now, I did make a note here that those impressions from the media interviews were just the ones that were available. Not every news station or channel offers a total number of impressions, so it could be a lot more. So I think it's a very healthy number for a campaign that ran for just about a month or a couple of weeks. And it was a healthy amount of impressions. Next, please. The public sentiment overview, we looked at different comments from different social media platforms, not just air qualities, but also City of Phoenix, MAGs, and any others that we can find. And I compiled these comments in two different sections, either positive, where sentiment primarily reflected an acknowledgement of the negative impacts associated with consumer fireworks. Negative was a sentiment was primarily associated with perceptions of overregulation, skepticism about enforcement, and concerns related to personal inconvenience. For example, considering fireworks tradition for many. And then neutral responses largely consisted of general discussion or clarification requests and did not express a clear position for or against the messaging. Next, please. That's it. We do plan on continuing this campaign, expanding it, adding more social media posts, flyers, and information for it to be available for everyone to use and edit as they please. And hopefully we can continue this messaging and start noticing a decline in the use of consumer fireworks. So if anyone has any questions, my information is on your screen. But that's what I have right now. Thank you.
Okay. So from the MAG social media side, I will share a couple of slides just with information about how the campaign went from the things that we shared, what we saw, which is very similar to what Ari had mentioned. So we, if you can go to the, or I guess I can go here. So this is the social media campaign that we had called Fireworks Are Breathtaking. We work with a consultant to help us create those graphics that you see with the fireworks recreating along, and we thought that would be an impactful way to engage the public as well. We shared this with Maricopa County, with the cities and towns, who also helped to share this information out to their communities. We saw a great response from them as well. And then overall in the campaign, we saw a lot of high levels of engagement. This is a topic that we saw that people really cared about, obviously for many reasons, but we also saw a lot of different comments for and against consumer fireworks. We have a photo on the top that we saved from January 1st, 2025, when we saw that really bad air quality that day. That's from one of the ADAT cameras on the I-10. We saved it because we just knew it was going to be impactful to remember what it was like that day. And we ended up using that image for a lot of our social media posts as well. And it was one that actually generated the most engagement and impact across social media with people online. I'm going to move forward just with the public reactions, kind of the general sentiment, just how Maricopa County shared some of the similar responses that they received, but we saw a lot of air quality and health concerns for the most part. That was the majority of the comments on how they concentrated with their responses. We saw a lot of people that were blaming fireworks for the poor quality, especially during the winter inversion. So a lot of people are aware about the situation. We also saw a lot of comments mentioning, respiratory issues, asthma, coughing, and people having to stay indoors because of the bad air quality that it produces. And then we also saw a lot of other people that were also arguing for other reasons why the air quality is bad during this time, including vehicle exhaust, construction dust, wildfires, etc. There was obviously a big response about the impact on pets and veterans and families and how they affect them. There was certainly a lot of calls to ban or restrict fireworks again. A lot of people pointed out in the comments that there needs to be a ban again on fireworks. That was his sentiment overall with many people online. But then there was also a lot of people that were concerned about personal freedom and obviously using them responsibly and using the fireworks that are illegal during this period of time. And then, of course, a lot of comments centering on neighborhood and quality of life. just with noise and everything surrounding the use of fireworks. The picture on the right is just a screenshot of some of those comments just reflected in those themes. Just some basic stats from social media. On MAG's social media side, we saw over 115,000 impressions. That means that is the total views that we saw across the different platforms, how many times he was shown to people. We did use boosting on Facebook and Instagram to be able to reach some of the audience. So that is reflected in those numbers as well. And then a lot of organic engagement that we saw because of people sharing the posts and leaving comments and stuff like that. Overall, we saw more than 2,000 reactions. That includes, like I said, likes, shares, comments, and link clicks. We had our website up and running, acmag.gov/fireworks, which is more information about the impact of fireworks, what happened on January 1st, 2025, and then just some more in-depth details about winter immersion and you know what that does. And we saw a lot of people that were going and visiting the website as well, just to try to get more information. So that was a good resource. And we used social media to be able to send people there. And overall, just more than 200 comments, like I mentioned, highlighting all those themes that we saw. Definitely a lot of strong public reactions for sure. These are just some of those other images that we use. This is, like I mentioned, the graphics that we had a consultant help us to create. And this is what we were basically sharing online. And then this was provided to other cities and towns so they can also share that on their own social media, so they could place their logo, etc. So this was a very coordinated campaign just to get the message out there and then make people aware and hopefully have them make a decision on their own. We also produced this graphic in Spanish. We had this shared on social media for the Spanish-speaking audiences, highlighting it in different areas of the valley where, predominantly Spanish-speaking people live. And again, this is just one of those messages highlighting that image with the ADOT camera from January 1st. This was the one that we saw the most engagement and where people reacted the most. So it was definitely an impactful visual element for people. And that is all the information from the MAC side. If you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them for you.
Thank you, Ari and Juan. Do any members have questions or comments? Preliminary insights on the impact of local man-made emissions on ozone formation in the MAG region. This item is on the agenda for information and discussion and will be presented by Adam Sia and, Isa Young, Maricopa Association of Governments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and committee members. Good afternoon. Today, we will present a preliminary insight on the impact of local man-made emissions on ozone formation in the MAG region. Last year, MAG performed photochemical modeling for the 179B demonstration to estimate the impact of international emissions. MAG utilized the same photochemical modeling platform for additional analysis to identify the ozone sensitivity regime in the MAG region and ozone sensitivity to local man-made emissions. MAG also examined meteorological data to identify possible reasons for the 62-day period with no ozone exceedances in the summer of 2025. Lastly, MAG investigated the GLORE LiDAR data to identify possible stratospheric intrusions. I'm going to present the first two topics, and Adam will present the last two topics. Although most of the ozone in the MAG region is not impacted by local man-made emissions, it is still important to diagnose ozone sensitivity regime in this region to develop most effective control strategies. To diagnose the ozone sensitivity regime in the MAG region, we began by establishing a conceptual understanding of ozone sensitivity to NOx and VOC emissions. Then we examine the spatial and temporal patterns of multiple ozone sensitivity indicators derived from the model. Next, we evaluate modeled ozone responses to changes in local anthropogenic emissions. Finally, we assess the consistency of conclusions across these diagnostic approaches to ensure that our determination of the ozone sensitivity regime is robust and not dependent on any single method. Ground level ozone is formed through photochemical reactions involving nitrogen oxides and volatile organic compounds in the presence of sunlight. An ozone sensitivity regime characterizes the relative responsiveness of ozone formation to changes in NOx versus VOC emissions under prevailing atmospheric conditions. Identification of ozone sensitivity regimes is critical for informing effective and targeted ozone control strategies. Ozone sensitivity regimes are generally classified as VOC limited or NOx limited. In VOC limited regimes, NOx concentrations are high relative to VOCs. Consequently, ozone concentrations are most effectively reduced through VOC emissions reductions. In NOx-limited regimes, VOCs are abundant relative to NOx. Therefore, reductions in NOx emissions are the most effective means of decreasing ozone formation. Ozone sensitivity regimes are classified as VOC limited or NOx limited, depending on whether ozone production is limited by VOC or NOx. We use two indicators to diagnose these regimes. The first is a formaldehyde to nitrogen dioxide ratio, or FNR, where formaldehyde represent VOC reactivity and nitrogen dioxide represent NOx availability. FNR less than 1 indicates VOC limited conditions. FNR greater than 2 indicates NOx limited conditions. Values between 1 and 2 indicate transitional conditions where ozone is sensitive to both VOC and NOx. The second indicator is the peroxide to nitric acid production ratio, which is pH2O2 over pHNO3. Nitric acid forms mainly under VOC-limited conditions, while hydrogen peroxide forms under NOx-limited conditions. Using a threshold of 0.35, values below 0.35 indicate VOC-limited conditions, and values above 0.35 indicate NOx-limited conditions. First, we examine the spatial distribution of ozone sensitivity regimes across the study region. These two figures show the spatial distribution of ozone sensitivity indicators averaged over all modeling periods from April through September 2023. The indicators are calculated from hourly model output, vertically averaged from the surface to the planetary boundary layer height, and temporally averaged over the daytime period from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. The left panel displays the spatial distribution of the FNR, while the right panel shows the spatial distribution of the peroxide to nitric acid production ratio. In both figures, warmer colors indicate VOC limited conditions, whereas cooler colors indicate NOx limited conditions. Based on the FNR result, most of the region exhibits NOx-limited ozone formation, with the urban core characterized by transitional sensitivity. In contrast, the peroxide to nitric acid production ratio indicates NOx-limited conditions across the entire domain. The minimum value exceed the upper bound of the color scale, resulting in a uniform purple color across the plot. After examining the spatial distribution of ozone sensitivity regimes, we now turn to their temporal evolution. These animations show the monthly evolution of ozone sensitivity indicators from April through September 2023. The left panel presents the monthly evolution of the FNR, and the right panel shows the monthly evolution of the peroxide to nitric acid production ratio. As noted previously, warmer colors indicate VOC-limited conditions, while cooler colors indicate NOx-limited conditions. Based on the FNR result, the urban core exhibits the strongest transitional sensitivity in April, with indications of localized VOC-limited ozone formation. The extent of the transitional regime decreases after April, and the region becomes predominantly NOx-limited during July and August. Transitional sensitivity reemerges in September. The peroxide to nitric acid production ratio shows generally consistent behavior. VOC-limited conditions appear briefly over a small urban core area in April, but are not evident in later months. The strongest NOx-limited conditions occur in July. Now, we examine the diurnal evolution of ozone sensitivity regimes. These animations show the diurnal variation of ozone sensitivity indicators from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. The left panel presents the FNR, and the right panel shows the peroxide to nitric acid production ratio. Both indicators show similar diurnal patterns. Ozone production is initiated by VOC oxidation in the presence of sunlight. In the early morning and evening, VOC reactivity is low, resulting in lower formaldehyde and peroxide production, and correspondingly low indicator values, which appears as VOC-limited conditions. After sunrise, VOC reactivity increases by sunlight, and VOC-limited areas shrink. During the daytime, most of the region transitions to NOx limited conditions due to enhanced photochemical activity. Given the relatively low ambient NOx levels resulting from sustained emission control efforts, VOC limited conditions are largely diminished during the daytime in the MAG region, consistent with the patterns shown here. Next, we present the local man-made emission sensitivity analysis. In this analysis, we apply perturbations to local anthropogenic emissions within the 4-kilometer modeling domain and evaluate the resulting ozone response relative to the base simulation. These simulations are intended to diagnose modeled ozone sensitivity rather than present realistic control scenarios. Accordingly, we focus on the relative magnitude and spatial patterns of the ozone response, which help identify the dominant ozone sensitivity regime across the region. This table summarizes the modeled ozone response to a 50% reduction in local anthropogenic emissions. Ozone responses are shown for representative urban site, a representative rural site, and the regional average across all sites. The urban site exhibits an ozone response approximately 7 times larger than the rural site, reflecting the greater contribution of local emissions in urban areas. The regional average response is closer to the urban site result, as urban sites are more numerous than rural sites within the Maricopa non-attainment area. Overall, ozone is approximately 9 times more sensitive to NOx-only emissions reductions than to VOC-only reductions. This indicates that ozone formation in this region is predominantly NOx limited, consistent with the conclusions drawn from the indicator-based diagnostics. Ozone in the MAG region is substantially more sensitive to NOx emission reductions than VOC emission reductions. This slide summarizes the consistency across the diagnostic approaches. Both the FNR and the peroxide to nitric acid production ratio show clear spatial and temporal variability in ozone sensitivity across the MAG region. Despite differences in formulation, these indicators generally agree on the dominant sensitivity regime, which ranges from transitional to predominantly NOx limited, depending on location and time period. The modeled ozone responses to local emission perturbations are broadly consistent with the indicator-based diagnostics. Together, these results provide a coherent and robust picture of ozone sensitivity across the MAG region. That concludes my portion of the presentation. I will now turn it over to Adam for the rest of topics.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair and members of Air Quality Committee. So yeah, today I'm going to present detailed analysis, a little bit in detail about how ozone respond to the emission reduction. As ESA, from ESA's result, we know if you reduce precursor emission like the NOx and VOC, you get the ozone reduction. But where the size and the location of that, benefited on the reduction, that depends strongly on when and where the sources come from. So there are basically 5 categories for the anthropogenic sources in this region: the on-road, non-road, airport, pond, and air source. Each one has their own unique, spatial, and temporal distribution. So if there is no one unique, the reduction strategy that generate the same result for all the categories. So they are unique. So that led to a very practical decision-making problem questions. If you are going to reduce 1 ton of NOx per day, so where should we target it to maximize on the reduction? And the next one is which monitor benefited the most? So to answer the question, I use the same, the model sensitivity test like ESA outline. We run the model, and from April to September for 2023, and we check 2 important parameters. One is to say just to reduce 1 ton of that particular category to see what's the maximum ozone reduction in the region. And the second one is to see the extent and the spatial extent of the emissions. So from this figure, and we can see that airports just rank the first for 2 indicators. They have the maximum of 0.068 ozone reduction, and the extent is much larger than other categories. The reason this pattern is kind of like evident, one of the reasons is because airport emission are mainly come from the aircraft. And we calculate the aircraft emission based on the flight path. So some of them emission on the ground, but actually most of them are along the elevated heights. So they can stay in the air longer time, and they can spread into a further distance. So they have, react that way. The second one is on-road. The maximum ozone reduction is 0.054, followed by the non-road 0.036. One of the interesting is about the point source. And you can see the maximum impact for the point source are more localized near the source rather than other categories mixed together, because point source, they are new and they are very clustered. So this is, our first 2 categories. So the next question is, what's the ozone response to the VOC reduction? This, you don't talk about the NOx only. So we did the similar test to reduce 1 ton, let's say at airports, to reduce 1 ton of NOx region-wide for the 4 kilometer domain. And the NOx at the airport still led to the maximum reduction, about 0.014 ppb. And the second one is on-road, 0.008. And third one becomes the point source, this kind of magnet, this value, the order. But if you check the magnitude, let's say the airport one for the VOC 0.014, and for the ozone reduction from the NOx is about 0.068. So that's like a factor of 5 times smaller than the VOC reduction. And if you check the number for the on-road, that's about a factor of 7. So across all the categories, so normally the NOx controls is about 5 to 10 times more effective than the VOC control. And this result is consistent with what ESA just presented minutes ago. So this is a special pattern to say that one. So next, we're going to investigate why was 2025 ozone low. As ESA mentioned, 2025, we have 62 consecutive days without ozone exceedances. So first, we use July 2025 as the case. Actually, we are going to conduct more, but this one is like a case. We use the ERA5 reanalysis data from European Center of the Medium Range Weather Forecast. This model just have a resolution about 25 kilometer, and we first calculate climatology data That's from 2015 to 24. That's 10 years. And then we compare the value for 2025 against the baseline 2025. So if you see the difference is larger than 0, that means 2025 has a high value. So for this graphics on the right, the red color indicates the 20 is positive. That means 2025 is hotter. And then if the color is blue, that means that the region has a low temperature than the 10 years average. So for the region of Arizona, and particularly in the MAC region, and we can see the temperature was hot for the 2 meters, the temperature measured at 2 meter high. So this is the first thing we find. And the second meteorology factor is called the dew point. Dew point mainly is to describe how much air can contain the moisture. The water was there. So if the dew point is low, that means the air was dry, very dry. So we use the same approach to see the differences. And we can say for the 2025, the air was dry, in particular in our region. And yeah, some of you might know, if you check the first slide, we talk about temperature is higher. Actually, when the temperature is higher, normally the ozone is in chemical reaction is stronger. The ozone might be higher. And for the dry air, the also can favor the ozone formation. But it's contradict from what we expected about the low ozone concentration in 2025. The third parameter we investigate is called a PBR, to call a planetary boundary layer mixing height. So that described how the air was diluted to the upper air. So typically in this region, in the summer, we have a mixed height could be reached about 4 kilometers high. So the air was mixed from from bottom to the high. But if some years the mixed height is low, so that means they can only from 0 to 1 kilometer. So you see the air was more condensed. It's like in winter, we call the inversion. So from this plot, we can see 2025 has a higher mixed height, and then that means the pollutants and ozone, they can dilute it to the upper layer. So that's kind of like a ratio. They have more room to mix. So that's kind of like the reason the enhanced vertical mixing was an important meteorology factor that suppressed 2025 ozone level. But this is why 2025 ozone is low. It's a very big topic. There are so many factors that contribute and can explain. So this is the only first 3 parameters we are going to show, but actually we're working on to analyze the ventilation, maybe the air blowing in this area is cleaner than other years. So we are continue to share more results with you guys. So this is just the first preliminary result. So our final task is to evaluate the stratosphere intrusion from the glow data. So the stratosphere intrusion mainly means it's similar like the wildfire. The ozone exceedance happening in this region, it's coming from the top air rather than from other polluted situations. So that's the motivation we want to check. So there are 3 objectives. First, we want to identify what's the stratosphere intrusion look like for the vertical ozone profile. And second, we are going to check the transport data, the wind data with the color raw wind sound data to see where are the wind come from horizontally. We can see it vertically, horizontally, and the last we are going to check what's the surface impact during the accident day. So there are 2 light sides. First one is Buckeye, that's located in the West Valley, the rural side. And the second one is Durango, near the downtown. And the distance between the Buckeye and Durango, it's about 30 miles. And the third side, we call it PSR, and that location is actually in the Phoenix zone. They measure the up air meteorology data. So that means they can measure from the ground to 15 kilometers, all the heights to see what's the wind at each level they come from. So that's because the distance between the Durango and PSR are very close, 10 meters. So once it's up in the air, so we assume the wind transport from PSR is kind of like a representative, of Durango. Of course, definitely not, but that's the only data we have to show this kind of data. So this is the plot for the Durango LiDAR during the June 15 to June 22nd, July 2025. So the x-axis means the local time, and from 15 to the 22nd midnight. So if there is a dot, that means it's midnight. The y-axis represents the height from the ground level and until 13 kilometers. And the elevation for the Durango and Buckeye, actually they're the same. It's about 20 meters. So that's the reading on the bottom. You can't see any data. And let's take a look first at the midnight of June 15th. So if you look up from the ground to the height, and basically from the ground until I just should mention the color scheme. If the color is red or even black, that means the ozone are very high. And if the color is pink or even blue, that means the ozone are very low. So back to the midnight, June 15th, on the ground level, from the surface until to 9 kilometers, say the color are very low, so that means ozone are very low. But about the 9 to 10 to 11, the ozone are very, very high. So typically from the ozone about 11 kilometers, they are very high value. So this is the one. But if we 24 hours later, let's move to the midnight at June 16th, and you look up the air and measure the ozone, and you will find that the maximum ozone occurs around the 8 kilometers. It's different from what you find in the previous day. So basically, from this plot, we can say it's a plume. That plume was blowing from other side, from up air to the low air to this region. So they are descending from that period. So this is the time, but they are kept descending, but not very dramatic. One of the significant events that happens from the June 17th afternoon to the early morning, June 18th. And you can see the large amount of high ozone drop to the height about 4 kilometers. So that's the big descending together combined with the plume from previous day. So they are kept descending. And if you check the ozone about 2 or 3 kilometers at June 18th in the morning, so the ozone are already very high. So that's kind of like evidence. They are linked together all the morning, and then until in the afternoon, June 18th, you experience the ozone exceedance. And this day is different. If you compare with the day before, June 17th, early morning are very clean. So this is the one of the observation, identification of how complex the ozone is, especially in the vertical, profile, vertical distribution. If we don't have this equipment, we just know regularly, normally they are high in the top and then they are low down, but they have very dynamic, situation. So this is the second observation at the Buckeye, and during that period, June 22nd to 29th, we know there is no ground level ozone exceedance. Not to mention the Buckeye always very clean. But with we can find here, that's also another, high ozone at the height between 5 to 8 kilometer high, but they never reach the ground. It's different from what we found in the previous slide. Another one is you can see that portion, the air is laminated. So top clean air and the clean top dirty air in the top and the clean air in the bottom. They don't mix very well. It's not easy, honestly, just like it's not easy to break down, to come down. So there's some events, something they can record. So like I mentioned, the 62 days non-exceedance was broken. This is like a record of 46 years since 1979. There's no such kind of long record with the ozone exceedance. That record was broken on August 20th on 2025. And one of the highest 8-hour daily maximum is observed at the JRG subsite 83 ppb. That's very high. So let's check what's happening for the LiDAR data. Luckily we have the LiDAR data, and that LiDAR data is also 1 week period. And yeah, one of the interesting is, yeah, so the ozone, basically they're high about 6 kilometers. This is different than the previous period, but the thing we want to look at is August 20th. But if you look in the morning, all the air are very clean compared with previous ozone accidents. Yeah, so that's kind of like the thing. So from this plot, we basically see there is no any attachment from this event plume with the upper troposphere, although there's something, yeah, about but another one. So I should mention about the radio sound data. Yeah, actually the one, yeah, the arrow, that's actually show the wind direction and wind speed. So basically, normally most of the time, the wind in the upper air, they are blowing from the west to the east. That's kind of like typical pattern out there. And the line, full line, the number of full line or half line, if you have more, that means the wind speed are very large. So sometimes they're going to change the patterns. That's, yeah, pick this one, for example, from this, yeah, the August 20th on the bottom, the wind are coming from the west, and then the about the one, it's different, right? So this is the reason the upper air data, they can help us to track where the, you know, air mass origin come from. So sometimes, let's say the August 20th, you see there are some calm conditions, and then they are going to switch the wind direction at different time. So this is the one we see. So basically, we use the meteorology data and check the radar data to examine the 2025 ozone episode. So this is a very exciting topic. I know we are working hard. I know there are 4 tasks we are working on. The first is to prepare the MAC for the chemical modeling framework for 2025. Of course, we need to use the global model to calculate what's the boundary condition, use the meteorology and all the regional model as well as the meteorology, wildfire, everything you need to put together. And next task is to first analyze the global observational data. The one I show is LiDAR data, but they actually have 7 sites on the ground, including Durango. They measured so many VOC species, lots of species. They come from different origin, and as well as a high resolution on NOx, like some of the 1 minute or 5 minutes of NOx. It's a very sensitive signals rather than traditional 1 hour. So lots of interesting, we can check and do the data analysis. And of course, we can compare the observational data with the model to see what, you know, what's the ozone formation mechanism as well as that one. The third task, like I mentioned already, yeah, we are going to invest the ventilation pattern to see where they come from, and the hypothesis is this year they must come from some clean area somewhere. Yeah, the pattern is different. And the last one, Dr. Feng Liu, he's working on characterize the long-term trend, because the one like 15 years, what are the episodes that can categorize as stressful owner intrusion, because we only have LiDAR only in 2025, but for other year, other time, we don't. So we need to examine what are other parameters like relative humidity, how dry that one is, and what the vapor or other related, you know, called the potential velocity, all important. So in the end, we come up with an index, and the index is higher. That's an indicator of stress-free intrusion. So that's basically conclude my presentation, yeah, Isa's on my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam and Isa. Do any members have questions or comments? Are there any requests from the membership for an item on a future agenda? The next meeting of the Air Quality Technical Advisory Committee will be on Thursday, February 26, 2026 at 1:30 p.m. With no further business, today's meeting is adjourned.